What is up guys, Stu here. Over the weekend I got a chance to check out Richard Linklater's latest film, Last Flag Flying, at the London Film Festival. Let's talk about that shit. So, Last Flag Flying, as I've said, is the latest film from Richard Linklater, who's a filmmaker I'm incredibly fond of. Absolutely love Boyhood, the Before trilogy, Dazed and Confused. He's fucking stellar, alright? So when I heard he had a new film coming out, I was like, oh, okay. This should be good. And then when I heard it was at the film festival, I was like, well, I'll see you later, guys. You best believe I got my booty in that seat. And after watching it, I've got to say, I'm a bit mixed. I am technically disappointed, but I did still enjoy this one, weirdly. The film is essentially about three guys who are in Vietnam together, who've lost contact since then, but have come together in present day because one of them's son was recently killed in Afghanistan and he'd like them to take the body and get it buried with him. So it's essentially like a Linklater veteran road trip, but this one has got a really fantastic cast. We've got Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston and Lawrence Fishburne in the lead roles here, and they're all giving fantastic performances, I've got to say. Let's start with Bryan Cranston, who's fucking fantastic in everything he's in. He's sort of like the wild card of this group. And he's a real joy to watch. I think he's genuinely very funny in the film. It does feel like he's getting a little bit overboard at certain points, but on the whole, he was really fun to watch and is clearly having a lot of fun with this role. So yeah, I always enjoy seeing Bryan Cranston, whatever he's doing. But Steve Carell is fantastic in the film as well, playing a much quieter role than we're used to from Steve Carell, which is very welcome here as well. And I actually think that this role was one of my favourites of the film. I just thought what he did was really lovely, really subtle, really wonderful, and filled with emotion, because his character is arguably the character that's gone through the most shit in the present day in this film, and you really do see that on him, and as he's coming to terms with certain things throughout the film, it's really quite beautiful to watch. But Lawrence Fishburne's in the film as well as this guy who's kind of found God and has become the sensible one of the group, and I thought he was really fun to watch. But the three of them really do work together. At first, I wasn't quite sure how the three of them would connect as relationships in the film, but I thought all three of the actors brought a lot to the table here and were just really fun to watch riff off each other. And above else, I felt like I was watching three lifelong friends doing their thing, which is absolutely what this film was going for. But let's talk about everything else, the direction from Richard Linklater, because that's what I'm most interested about this film. And I've got to be honest, it's probably one of Richard Linklater's weakest films, which I think is where most of my disappointment comes, because I've come to expect really, really fantastic films from him. But I did still think it was a very solid film, a step above a lot of other stuff we're getting at the moment. And it does still have a lot of those Richard Linklater isms that we've come to expect from his films, which are always very welcome here. It's still got that kind of characters not really doing a huge amount, but just sort of chatting to each other feel, which I love about all of his films. And as usual with Richard Linklater, it does a really good job, I think, overall, of balancing some really genuinely moving emotion and some just lovely kind of charming comedy. They make it this really lovely kind of hybrid of laughing and crying and getting the feels. It's one of those films which, in terms of an emotional side of things, you really do get everything from it. But it does feel a little bit like at this point, it's kind of like Linklater light. Like it's all the staples of a Linklater film, but just not done as well as his previous films have done them. What this film does have different to his other films is the kind of topic at hand here, which is largely about war and the cost of war and the kind of stupid decisions that the government makes around war, going into war. And I think that was really welcome, and it's something that's infused very well throughout the film, in the dialogue, in the situation, in the environment of the film, set around Bush's America. I do, however, feel like it can get a little bit on the nose some points. I remember there's a one bit where Steve Carell was literally just like, "It is stupid that we went to Iraq. We shouldn't have, because there was clearly no weapons of mass destruction." Something along those lines, and I was like, okay, was that Carell's character, or are you just going to say stuff at us now, Linklater? Yeah, there's a couple of moments like that which do feel a little bit too on the nose. But on the whole, I think it does do an effective job of exploring the issues around that side of things, but whilst never really detracting from the very small human interactions between the characters which are driving this film. Because at the end of the day, it's about three friends who haven't seen each other for a while, coming back together, rekindling their friendship, whilst also dealing with some tragic loss and some of the stuff that was in their past. And I think that side of things is what really won me over about this film. As it kept progressing through the film, I just kept falling more and more in love with these characters and watching them interact with each other and watching their friendship bloom again. I just thought it was really lovely. I do think in the first half of this film, there is a tendency to drag a little bit, particularly in the middle. Some scenes start to go on and it doesn't necessarily feel like it's moving on as it should be in the film, which I guess is kind of a textbook Linklater thing to be doing here, but it does feel a little bit more heightened here. But it's the characters that really help to keep me hooked despite all of that. And by the time you get to the final hour of this film, I thought the end of this film was really, really wonderful. There's just certain moments which are just so lovely between all of them. There's one bit where they're buying phones. It's just those moments where it's these three friends, not really doing anything in particular, but just having a fun time together that were really, really poignant to me. But then the end comes and there's just a few really, really beautiful moments which they had me tearing up. I was crying at the end of this film. I wasn't really expecting it through this film. I felt like as the film was going on, I was like, yeah, it's moving, it's making me think about things, but this doesn't seem like the sort of film that's really hitting me like that. And then the end happened, and there's one scene in particular, oh man, it really did get me. So I absolutely think at the end of the day, it's one of those films which just sort of gets better as it goes along. I almost kind of love the simplicity of this one. I think the character work is really good and really entertaining. And it's a film which makes you feel some things, which is absolutely what it's trying to do at the end of the day. And so I think it's very effective in that sense. So I'm going to go ahead and give Last Flag Flying a solid 4 stars. But what about you guys? Have you seen Last Flag Flying? Are you excited to check it out? If you're a big fan of Linklater, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know. And as usual, if you like this review and you want to see me talk about more shit, please go ahead and click subscribe. But until next time, stay beautiful, mother truckers. Cabbage Patch Kids, I'm back again, and here's that tasty old London Film Festival playlist for 2017. Click in there, it will take you through to all the reviews from the film festival this year if you want to check out what I thought on any of the films that I saw. I realise at this point you don't actually know which ones I saw unless you clicked on it, so that was a bit of a weird thing. Just click it, alright? Just click it, check out the reviews, and then come back and watch some more.